Today I'm going to show you how you can create such beautiful cinematic footage with the help of your phone. What up guys, welcome back to another episode. My name is Eddie Bear and today I will give you a comprehensive comparison between the Moment Anamorphic and the Sandmarc Anamorphic lens. I will show you what the differences between the two lenses are, how the footage looks and what you need to do in order to de-squeeze your footage correctly. For those of you who don't know what anamorphic lenses are, there are three very distinguished things that indicate an anamorphic lens. One being the black bar on the top and on the bottom of your footage, an extremely wide field of view, and crazy lens flares like we know them from Transformers or pretty much every J.J. Abrams film. Since I was intrigued by the look and feel of anamorphic footage, I started to mess around with some anamorphic lens hacks, and I were able to achieve some really nice footage and looks, but still I wanted something that gives me the real anamorphic experience. That was the point when I decided to get myself one of those juicy Moment anamorphic lenses, but when I heard that Sandmarc is releasing an anamorphic lens too, I reached out to them and they were kind enough to supply me with one of their units. So thank you Sandmarc for making this video possible. Let's kick off today's review by taking a peek into the Sandmarc Anamorphic box and see what comes with the lens. In the box you will find the newest version of Sandmarc's iPhone case, and even though it looks similar to the old one, it's a completely new design, but more about that later. Naturally also included in the box is Sandmarc's new anamorphic lens. Like all the other lenses from Sandmarc, it comes in a nice little pouch. In the pouch you will not only find the lens, you will also find the clip-on. And if by any chance the same thing is happening to you, don't worry, just take the base plate, align the ball head on the clip, push it back into place and you're already good to go again. Moving on with the anamorphic lens. So this lens is coming with one lens hood in the front and one in the back. Having a lens hood in the back of your lens is a massive help because it's way easier to keep out the dust and dirt in the first place than to have to clean your lens out in the field. Last but not least, if you dig deep enough into the pouch you will find a cleaning glove, so you can not only keep the lens clean with the pouch itself, you can also use this one here. So much for what's in the box, but now let me show you why it's such a huge deal that Sandmarc released a new kind of case. The old Sandmarc case was made out of a thin plastic which helped it to keep a small profile. It had a satin finish and you had direct access to all the buttons. Like all of these matte satin surfaces, it is prone to wear and tear, so over time it is developing patina. With that said, a lot of people complained that it felt cheap, so Sandmarc really delivered on the new design. The buttons are now included into the case, so there are no more cutouts to reach the buttons, and overall the case feels way more rigid and you have the impression that your phone is actually really protected. If you are used to Apple's leather case, this case will feel familiar. In terms of a physical standpoint, the Sandmarc Anamorphic lens is way bigger than the Moment Anamorphic, even though the optical element has the same size on both lenses. Since Sandmarc is always sticking to the same lens size, this means that also the filter thread is the same size, meaning you don't have to buy new filters. By the way, Moment lenses don't have filter threads. With anamorphic equipment, it's always imperative to make sure the lens is aligned correctly to the body, otherwise you will have some weird distortions within your footage. Even though both systems have very different mounting systems, they both help you to align your lens correctly. In my opinion, the bayonet mount from Moment is easier to use than the threaded system from Sandmarc. With the Moment lens you align the line on the case with the line on the lens, you twist the lens and this will lock the lens securely into place, and if you want to switch the lens to another of your phone lenses, you can easily just switch them and it is done within seconds. The procedure with the Sandmarc lens is a little bit different. Make sure to align the threading and start to twist the square backplate till it snugly fits to the case. Once this point is reached, align the front of the lens so both the lines on the case and also on the front of the lens form one single line. Of course, you also can use your Sandmarc Anamorphic lens on the different lenses of your phone, but switching lenses will take longer than with the Moment system. Now let's talk about the most interesting thing. How does the footage look, and are there even any differences? Here's a test footage I took in the forest. The lens flare from the Moment lens is very hard and it has an intensive blue tone, so it is kinda looking like you're filming black light. The Sandmarc lens not only tends to form more than one single lens flare, it is also softer and the color spectrum is moving around the magenta and purple area. Of course, it's always coming down to personal preference, but in a side-by-side comparison, I think that the Sandmarc lens looks more natural and it's softer, so it would be my favorite. But let me know down in the comments below what you think looks better. Although anamorphic lenses have their strengths mainly in video, you naturally also can use these lenses to take photos, for example if you have a beautiful white scenery. And I'm happy to say that even zoomed into 200%, there is almost no difference between the sharpness of the two lenses. With that said, don't forget that anamorphic lenses tend to give you some blurry edges, so you have a retro kind of style in your footage. While I was conducting my tests, after a while I started to notice that the Sandmarc lens is delivering a different form factor than the Moment lens. After some additional research, I started to notice that the 1.33 anamorphic factor does not apply to my anamorphic Sandmarc lens. So I conducted my tests and I noticed that my lens had a factor around 1.43. So you now may be saying, well, that's great, I now have a wider field of view. Well, the issue is all the apps that I know of that can de-squeeze the footage right in your phone, like Filmic Pro or the Moment app, will not be able to properly de-squeeze your footage. Meaning you will have to de-squeeze all your photos and all your film footage manually in post. Don't worry, it's easy to verify the factor of your lens with the help of a perfectly round object, for example with a plate. Place your plate on the floor and take a top-down photo as centered as possible, and now take your photo into Photoshop. Now hit Command Option E and enter 70% for the height value. This should give you a perfectly round plate. To verify that your footage has been de-squeezed properly, hit M on your keyboard to select the elliptical mark tool. Now press Shift and click to drag a perfectly round circle, and then you can verify that your plate has the right proportions. This also can be done in various video editing softwares. In order to do so, take your footage into your designated video editing software, then select your clip and go to the height settings. Then if you select 75%, this would be the value if you have a 1.33 factor anamorphic lens. And with my lens, it again was 70%. So with 70%, I achieved the perfect ratio to have a round object. Now you might be wondering which lens I would recommend or I prefer. Well, I think both systems have their strengths and weaknesses. In my personal opinion, the Sandmarc Anamorphic lens delivers the softer anamorphic lens flares, which I prefer. I think that the Moment lens always has too harsh anamorphic stripes, which sometimes can be distracting in your footage. What I don't like about the Sandmarc lens is the way how they align the lens with the case. So you can always twist the lens in the front, and if you're shooting, sometimes you knock the lens a little bit over and then you get a distorted view, and that's something that could never happen with the Moment lens. So it would be nice to have something like a little screw or something to actually lock the lens into place to keep it from accidentally adjusting. Also, I have to say that I kinda dislike that the back element of the lens is covered in grease in order to make the backplate twistable. So this is something I rather would not have in my pocket, and I also noticed the longer I use the lens, it's more prone to be actually micro adjust itself while I'm shooting, so that's something I'm not too keen about. What I also love about Sandmarc is the fact that they come with filter threads, meaning you can easily use filters you already have and put them on your lens. Also, since every lens has the same size, the lens caps that come with the lenses, also in the front and in the back, can be used on every single lens they have. And since Sandmarc is using 2 lens hoods, your lens is always staying clean. With the Moment lens, unfortunately that's not the case, so sometimes the rear element is covered in dust and fluff from my pocket, so I first have to clean it out. And to reach into the lens in order to clean it out is very difficult, so it's hard to keep it clean. So what is your opinion about today's anamorphic lens comparison? Which lens would you prefer? The Sandmarc Anamorphic or the Moment Anamorphic lens? Let me know down in the comments below. Also, if you're interested in my anamorphic lens hack, also hit me up and maybe I will put an extra video up about that one too. With that said, don't forget to like, share, subscribe and do all the stuff that YouTubers have to do. So thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!